My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in a world where not everyone is happy to see you happy. Sometimes the smile on your face bothers someone else, and their jealousy can manifest in a way that affects your life. This is what we call the evil eye. And yes, it is real. The Prophet himself taught us about it, and he showed us how to protect ourselves from it. Now, how do you know that the evil eye has entered your home? Let me share with you 5 signs. First sign, constant arguments and tension. You notice the smallest issues become huge fights. Peace is stolen from the home. Second sign, sudden illnesses or strange health issues that doctors cannot easily explain. One child is fine today, the next day he cannot move his arm. Third sign, financial blessings disappearing. You earn well, but nothing remains. Unexpected expenses keep swallowing your money. Fourth sign, disturbing atmosphere. Heavy energy in the home, children refusing to sleep, nightmares, crying for no reason. Fifth sign, loss of barakah in everything. Food doesn't satisfy, time runs out quickly, and you feel exhausted all the time. My brothers and sisters, when you notice these signs, do not panic. Do not run to fortune tellers or engage in superstition. Turn back to Allah Almighty. Turn back to Allah Almighty. He is the one who protects. How do we protect ourselves? By strengthening our connection with Allah. Read your morning and evening du'as. Recite Ayatul Kursi. Recite Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Naas before you sleep. Dhikr. Keep your tongue moist with the remembrance of Allah. Fill your house with Qur'an. A house where the Qur'an is recited, the shayateen cannot enter. And remember, don't show off every blessing. Not everything needs to go on social media. Sometimes you are inviting jealousy into your life without realizing it. Protect your blessings by thanking Allah and keeping some matters private. My beloved brothers and sisters, rely on Allah. Strengthen your salah. Call out to Him sincerely, and you will see the peace return to your homes. May Allah protect our families, purify our hearts from jealousy, and make our homes places of light, mercy, and tranquility. Amen. The evil eye is something that many people speak about, yet very few truly understand. It is not a superstition or a cultural myth. It is a reality that has been clearly mentioned by the Prophet. When we talk about the evil eye, what we mean is the negative effect that can result when someone looks at you or your blessings with envy or jealousy. A person may admire you, your family, your health, your wealth, or even the smallest of things you have been given. But inside their heart, there is a spark of envy. That spark can translate into harm by the will of Allah if you and your household are not protected. This is why the Messenger of Allah said, "The evil eye is real. And if anything could outdo the divine decree, it would be the evil eye." This tells us that it is a powerful force, but at the same time, it is still under the control of Allah. Nothing can ever harm us unless Allah permits it, but He has given us knowledge and means to guard ourselves. When the evil eye is spoken about, many people dismiss it as superstition. They say, "Oh, it is just in the mind. It is just bad luck." But in Islam, there is no such thing as luck. Everything happens by the decree of Allah. And the evil eye is one of those things that Allah allows to occur as a test for us. Sometimes we forget that not everyone who sees our blessings will have a pure heart. You might have a beautiful home, a happy marriage, obedient children, or even just a peaceful atmosphere in your family. Someone else may see this, and their heart begins to burn with envy, even if they do not say a word. That envy can manifest as harm stripping the peace away from your home and bringing in trials you never expected. It is important to remember that the evil eye is not always intentional. A person may look at your child and say, "Wow, what a clever boy," but they forget to say mashallah, or they forget to acknowledge that this is from Allah. Their amazement, mixed with a trace of envy or heedlessness, can still affect you. For this reason, the Prophet encouraged us to say words of blessing when we see something we admire, whether it belongs to us or to someone else. Saying Masha'Allah or Tabarakallah protects us from casting an evil eye on others. The believer's heart should be clean. If we see someone enjoying a blessing, we should be happy for them and pray for their increase. But when the heart is diseased with jealousy, the evil eye becomes a natural outcome. When the evil eye enters a household, its impact can be severe. Suddenly, peace is replaced with chaos. Health is replaced with sickness. Happiness is replaced with sadness. Sometimes, nothing makes sense. The family might have been living in harmony for years, then suddenly everything starts to go wrong. Children begin fighting, parents become distant, illnesses appear out of nowhere, and sustenance seems to dry up. This is why understanding the evil eye is crucial. If we know it exists, and we know it can affect us, then we can take the necessary steps to shield ourselves and our family. Part of understanding the evil eye is also to understand human nature. Allah created us with emotions, and among those emotions is jealousy. Jealousy itself is not always sinful if it motivates us to strive for better, but when it leads to wishing harm for others, it becomes destructive. The evil eye is the spiritual extension of that destructive jealousy. This is why the Prophet used to seek refuge in Allah for his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, reciting words to protect them from the evil eye, from every devil and from every harmful creature. If he, the best of creation, made these du'as for his family, then who are we to neglect them? We need protection even more, and we need to teach our families that this is not a small matter. Another important aspect is that the evil eye does not only affect material possessions, it can also affect spiritual blessings. A person may be consistent with Salah, enthusiastic about Qur'an, and suddenly they lose motivation. Their heart feels heavy. Their worship becomes lazy, and they cannot understand why. Sometimes this is from the evil eye. Someone saw their spiritual strength and envied it. Likewise, a family may have unity in Deen, and the evil eye comes to break it apart. This shows us that the evil eye is not just about wealth or beauty, but about anything that others may envy. At the same time, we must balance our understanding. Not every problem in life is due to the evil eye. Illnesses can be natural, financial struggles can come as a test, and family issues can arise from neglect or misunderstanding. Blaming everything on the evil eye is a mistake, but denying its existence is an even greater mistake. The believer acknowledges its reality, takes the means of protection, and then places full trust in Allah. We should not live in fear of the evil eye, because Allah is greater than all harm. But we should also not live in ignorance, pretending it does not exist. So understanding the evil eye means recognizing its reality, its causes, and its potential effects. It means cleansing our own hearts from envy so that we do not become a source of harm for others. It means remembering to mention the name of Allah when we see something admirable, so that our admiration becomes a blessing rather than a curse. And most importantly, it means turning to Allah for protection, because no matter how strong the evil eye may be, the remembrance of Allah is stronger. Just as darkness cannot remain where there is light, the evil eye cannot remain where the Quran, du'as, and the remembrance of Allah fill the home. When we speak about the signs of the evil eye in the home, we are addressing something that often goes unnoticed. Many families struggle silently, searching for explanations for the sudden changes that appear in their lives, but they cannot put their finger on what is happening. This is where the signs become important, because they guide us to recognize that what we are dealing with may not be ordinary but spiritual. It is a reminder to shift our focus from worldly solutions alone and seek divine protection. The signs are not always clear-cut, but there are patterns that believers have observed and that scholars of Islam have pointed out, based on experience and guidance from the Qur'an and Sunnah. One of the first signs is the sudden eruption of conflict and tension in the home. Families that once enjoyed peace and harmony begin to argue constantly over trivial matters. Small disagreements turn into major disputes, and the atmosphere in the house becomes heavy. You notice that love and affection seem to vanish, and instead, negativity dominates the household. Even in moments that should be joyful, like meals together or gatherings, there is unease. This is not always because of poor communication or external stress. At times, it is a result of the evil eye that has entered and disturbed the tranquility that Allah had blessed the home with. When hearts are affected spiritually, they become more vulnerable to anger, impatience, and harsh words. Another sign is sudden, unexplained illness. A member of the family might fall sick without any medical reason. Well, doctors may run tests and find nothing abnormal, yet the person continues to suffer. Sometimes it is constant fatigue, body aches, or recurring headaches that seem to have no cure. Children, in particular, may be affected. They become restless, cry excessively at night, or complain of pain without being able to describe it clearly. Parents get frustrated because no medicine seems to help. This is a classic sign that the problem may not be physical, but spiritual. It does not mean we abandon medical treatment. Islam teaches us to seek cures, but when nothing seems to work, it is wise to consider the possibility of the evil eye and increase in Ruqyah and supplication. Financial struggles also emerge as a sign. A family may be earning well, with more than enough income on paper, but they find that their wealth disappears. Bills pile up unexpectedly, cars break down one after another, home repairs become endless, and savings vanish. The family cannot explain why their finances are collapsing when their income has not changed. This constant cycle of financial loss can sometimes be linked to the evil eye. Barakah, or divine blessing, is removed, and so money loses its ability to bring comfort and stability. Instead, it slips away as if through invisible hands. This does not mean every financial difficulty is the evil eye, but when it coincides with other signs, it becomes a strong indicator. A fourth sign is a heavy atmosphere in the home itself. You feel a strange energy when you walk in. Guests may even comment that the house feels tense or uncomfortable. Children may refuse to stay in certain rooms, or they wake up crying at night with nightmares. Sleep becomes disturbed for multiple members of the household. Sometimes you sense an uneasiness or fear for no apparent reason. In such cases, it is important to realize that homes can be affected by unseen forces. The evil eye can strip the house of its light, leaving it in a state where people feel drained rather than refreshed inside its walls. A house that once felt welcoming may suddenly feel oppressive. Another sign is the loss of barakah in time and resources. You find that days pass quickly, but nothing is achieved. Work piles up, responsibilities feel overwhelming, and no matter how much effort you put in, there is no progress. Even simple tasks seem to take endless time and energy. Similarly, food no longer brings satisfaction. Either it finishes quickly, or it does not nourish the family as it once did. The feeling of abundance that comes from barakah disappears. This is often subtle, but it can have a profound impact on family life. When time and sustenance lose blessing, people feel constantly tired and unfulfilled, which contributes to other problems in the household. It is also worth noting that the evil eye often works in layers. Rarely does it show only one sign. Usually multiple signs appear together. For instance, a family might notice constant arguments along with financial strain and disturbed sleep. Or they may see recurring illness coupled with loss of barakah and heavy energy in the home. These combinations are what make the signs clearer. If it is just one issue, it may have another cause. But when several of these problems come together without logical explanation, then the evil eye is a likely culprit. Recognizing these signs is not meant to instill fear, but to encourage awareness. Too many families either dismiss the signs completely or exaggerate them. The correct approach is balanced. We accept that the evil eye is real and can manifest in these ways, but we also remember that Allah has given us solution. Every sign that the evil eye has entered is also an invitation to turn back to Allah with more sincerity, more remembrance, and more trust. It reminds us that we cannot rely solely on material means to secure happiness. A beautiful home, steady income, or even good health can all be shaken if Allah's protection is not sought regularly. In the end, these signs are a wake-up call. They urge us to fortify our homes with Qur'an, to maintain our prayers, to recite the supplications taught by the Prophet, and to remove jealousy and showiness from our lives. They remind us that every blessing we have is from Allah, and without His protection, it can be taken away in an instant. By being mindful of these signs and responding with faith and action, we turn a trial into an opportunity to strengthen our connection with the One who controls all matters. Jealousy is one of the oldest diseases of the heart, and its effects are destructive not only to the one who envies, but also to the one who is envied. The evil eye itself often originates from jealousy, because when a person cannot bear to see others blessed, their gaze carries negativity that can cause harm by the will of Allah. If we go back to the story of Iblis, the devil himself was consumed with jealousy when Allah created Adam alayhi salam. He could not accept that Adam was honored by Allah, and his envy led to arrogance, rebellion, and eternal loss. This shows us that jealousy is not a small matter. It is the root of many sins, and it can destroy both individuals and families if left unchecked. When someone sees another person enjoying a blessing, their heart reacts in two possible ways. The first is the way of a believer. They say, MashaAllah, they praise Allah, and they genuinely wish well for the person. This reaction turns the blessing into a source of joy for everyone. And it even invites Allah's blessings to increase. The second way is the way of jealousy. The heart feels pain at the happiness of others. It wishes that the blessing would disappear, and sometimes it even expresses this with words or action. This negative energy, when combined with a harmful gaze, becomes the evil eye. This is why the Prophet warned us so strongly about jealousy and advised us to seek refuge in Allah from those who envy. In daily life, jealousy can manifest in subtle ways. A neighbor may look at your home and feel unsettled that it is nicer than theirs. A relative may see your children excelling and secretly wish they were not as successful. A colleague may notice your achievements at work and burn inside with envy. These thoughts may remain hidden, but their spiritual effect can be real. The Qur'an itself acknowledges this reality in Surah Al-Falaq, where Allah commands us to seek refuge from the envy of the envier when he envies. This shows that envy is not just an emotion. It can translate into actual harm if Allah does not protect us. It is important to understand that jealousy does not benefit the one who envies. In fact, it destroys them from within. A jealous person lives in constant misery because they cannot be satisfied with what Allah has given them. Their eyes are always on the blessings of others, and their heart never experiences peace. The scholars say that jealousy eats away at good deeds, just as fire eats away at dry wood. So while the evil eye can harm others, jealousy harms its owner even more. The cure for this disease is to purify the heart, to learn contentment, and to constantly remind oneself that Allah distributes blessings according to His wisdom. What belongs to you will never go to someone else, and what belongs to someone else will never come to you. For the family that becomes the target of jealousy, the effects can be devastating. Their home that was once filled with laughter may suddenly be filled with arguments. Their business that was thriving may suddenly collapse. Their health, their relationships, even their mental state may all suffer. Sometimes they themselves are unaware that they have been a target of jealousy. This is why it is crucial for every believer to not only protect themselves, but also to avoid becoming a source of harm to others through envy. When we see something admirable, we must train ourselves to immediately say, MashaAllah, Tabarakah, and to pray for blessings upon that person. Another form of jealousy is self-comparison, which has become even more common in our times. With social media, people constantly display their wealth, travels, family moments, and achievement. Others watch and compare, often feeling inferior. This cycle breeds envy on a mass scale, leading to widespread harm. Families need to be careful about what they display publicly. Not every blessing needs to be shared. Sometimes, privacy is protection. The more we show, the more we invite the jealousy of others, even if unintentionally. Protecting one's blessings through modesty and gratitude is an act of wisdom. At the same time, we must recognize that jealousy is part of human nature, and everyone is susceptible to it. Even the companions of the Prophet sometimes felt envy, but they controlled it and redirected it positively. The acceptable form of envy in Islam is called ghibta. This is when you admire someone's blessing and wish to have something similar without wishing harm upon them. For example, you see someone memorizing the Qur'an and you wish to be like them while still praying for their success. This type of envy is encouraged because it motivates us to strive for good without harming others. The destructive envy, however, is when you cannot stand to see others blessed and secretly or openly hope for their downfall. Families must be aware of jealousy not only from outsiders, but sometimes even from within. Siblings may envy one another. Relatives may envy each other. And friends may not always be sincere. The story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam is a clear example. His own brothers envied him because their father, Yaqub alayhi salam, showed him love and affection. That envy led them to plot against him, causing years of suffering. This shows that jealousy can exist even in the closest relationships, and the evil eye can come from those you least expect. This is why protection through dua and remembrance of Allah is essential at all times. The way to deal with jealousy is not through fear but through action. We cannot control the hearts of others, but we can control how we protect ourselves. We can recite the morning and evening adhkar, keep our homes filled with Qur'an, and maintain a close connection with Allah. We can also educate our families, especially our children, to say mashallah when they see something they admire, so they grow up with pure heart. Most importantly, we must cultivate gratitude within ourselves. When we are thankful for what Allah has given us, jealousy loses its power over us. In the end, jealousy is a test of the heart. It can destroy families, friendships, and communities if left unchecked. But it can also be an opportunity for purification. Every time we resist envy, every time we pray for the success of others, we elevate our own soul. By understanding the reality of jealousy and its connection to the evil eye, we not only protect our homes, but also protect our own hearts from being consumed by one of the most dangerous diseases known to mankind. Strengthening faith and placing trust in Allah is the foundation of protection against all harm, including the evil eye. A believer must always remember that nothing in this world happens without the permission of Allah. If a person is struck by envy or their home is affected by the evil eye, it is not because people are more powerful than them, but because Allah allowed it to happen as a test. When this realization settles in the heart, fear of people disappears, and reliance on Allah becomes stronger. True tawakkul means recognizing that only Allah can protect us, and only He can remove harm. The Prophet taught his companions to live with this certainty, reminding them that even if the entire world were to unite to harm them, they would not be able to do so except by what Allah has already written. Strengthening faith begins with salah. Prayer is not just a ritual, it is a shield. It keeps the believer connected to Allah 5 times a day, reminding them that no matter how many challenges surround them, Allah is near and listens. When a family maintains prayer together, they build a spiritual fortress in their home. Salah brings light, and light drives away darkness. Many times, homes affected by the evil eye or negative energy are homes where prayer has been neglected. Reviving Salah is the first step in restoring peace and bringing Barakah back into the household. Another pillar of strengthening faith is reciting the Qur'an. The Qur'an is a source of healing for hearts and protection for homes. Allah describes it as a cure and a mercy for the believers. When the Qur'an is recited regularly in a home, the atmosphere changes. Tranquility descends, angels fill the house, and the shayateen flee. Families that read Surah Al-Baqarah, even if only once every few days, are protected from many forms of harm. The Prophet specifically mentioned that shayateen cannot remain in a house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. The evil eye loses its grip when the remembrance of Allah is constant, because the light of faith overpowers the darkness of envy. Dhikr, or constant remembrance of Allah, is another key to strengthening faith. A believer who trains their tongue to remember Allah frequently is always under His protection. Simple words like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, and La ilaha illallah carry immense power. They not only cleanse the heart from negativity, but also surround the person with divine protection. The Prophet too taught many du'as for morning and evening, and these are meant to act as a shield against all harm, including envy and the evil eye. Families that make a habit of reciting these du'as daily are consciously placing themselves under the care of Allah. Part of tawakkul is also accepting that tests will come. Sometimes a person may be affected by the evil eye, even though they are praying, reading Qur'an, and doing everything correct. This does not mean their faith is weak. It means Allah wants to elevate them through patience and reliance on Him. Strengthening faith does not remove every hardship, but it equips us with the tools to endure hardships with dignity and hope. When a believer faces difficulties with patience and trust, they earn rewards far greater than the pain they endured. Strengthening faith also requires purifying the heart. A heart filled with jealousy, arrogance, or hatred is more vulnerable to harm and cannot truly rely on Allah. Tawakkul is not just about words. It is about having a clean heart that knows Allah is sufficient. To strengthen faith, a believer must work on forgiving others, letting go of grudges, and focusing on gratitude. When gratitude becomes a habit, jealousy loses its place and protection from Allah increases. A thankful person does not spend time worrying about what others think, because their eyes are fixed on the giver of blessings, not on the people around them. Another aspect of strengthening faith is teaching the family to rely on Allah together. Parents must teach their children from a young age that Allah is their protector. Children should be taught to say Bismillah before eating, before leaving the house, and before starting anything important. They should learn to recite Ayatul Kursi before sleeping, and to seek Allah's refuge when they are afraid. These small habits, when taught consistently, create a generation that naturally turns to Allah in times of fear and doubt. A family that remembers Allah together becomes a family that is harder to harm, because their unity in faith strengthens the walls of their home. Tawakkul does not mean neglecting practical steps. The Prophet himself took precautions while teaching trust in Allah. He tied his camel before relying on Allah to keep it safe. In the same way, We should lock our doors, manage our health, be mindful of what we share publicly, and still place our ultimate trust in Allah. Strengthening faith is about balancing effort with trust. We take the means, but we do not depend on the means. We depend on the Creator of means. Finally, strengthening faith and tawakkul brings peace to the heart. Many people who suffer from the evil eye are consumed with worry, constantly thinking about who might envy them. This anxiety itself becomes a burden heavier than the evil eye. But when the heart truly trusts Allah, it no longer fears people. It accepts that if harm comes, it is from Allah's wisdom, and if protection comes, it is also from His mercy. This mindset transforms the way a person lives. Instead of living in fear of others, they live in hope of Allah. Instead of doubting every friend or relative, they strengthen their connection with the Protector of all. When a believer's faith is strong and their tawakkul is sincere, the evil eye cannot control them. It may touch them, it may test them, but it will never break them. Their heart will remain firm, their home will regain its light, and their family will continue to grow in the love of Allah. Strengthening faith and reliance on Allah is not just a way to protect against the evil eye. It is the foundation of a meaningful, peaceful, and resilient life. Daily protection practices are among the most powerful tools that a believer has to safeguard themselves and their family from the evil eye. Allah, in His infinite mercy, did not leave us vulnerable to harm without guidance. Through the Qur'an and the teachings of the Prophet, we have been given a treasure of du'as, dhikr, and actions that act like a spiritual shield. When these are practiced consistently, they repel the harm of envy, they drive away the shayateen, and they fill the home with light and barakah. It is not about doing them once in a while. It is about making them a daily routine, a natural part of life, just as eating or sleeping is. One of the greatest practices of protection is reciting Ayatul Kursi. This verse from Surah Al-Baqarah is a fortress in itself. The Prophet said that whoever recites Ayatul Kursi before sleeping will be guarded by Allah throughout the night, and no shaitan will come near them until morning. Imagine the power of these words. A single verse recited with sincerity becomes a barrier stronger than any wall or lock. For a family, making it a habit to recite Ayatul Kursi after every salah and before sleeping transforms the atmosphere of the home. The hearts become calm, fear disappears, and the family feels the nearness of Allah's protection. Another key practice is the recitation of Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Naas, known as Al-Muawwidhatayn, the two chapters of refuge. These were revealed as protection against all forms of harm, seen and unseen. The Prophet would recite them in the morning and evening, blow into his hands, and then wipe over his body. He also recited them before sleeping. These chapters remind us that envy, darkness, and evil whispers exist, but Allah is the one who grants safety from them. If every member of the family recites these surahs daily, it becomes very difficult for the evil eye to penetrate their household. Morning and evening dhikr are also essential. The Prophet taught a series of dua to be recited after Fajr and after Maghrib or before sunset. These duas cover every type of protection, from envy, from harm, from fear, from calamities, and from shayateen. For example, saying Bismillahilladzi la yaduru ma'asmihi shay'un fil ardi wa la fi samai wa huwa as-sami' alim 3 times in the morning guarantees, by the words of the Prophet, that nothing harmful will touch the person that. If we reflect on this, it is a mercy beyond imagination. Just by reciting a short dua with sincerity, an entire day of protection is granted. Families that revive this sunnah live with peace of mind because they know they are under Allah's care. The Qur'an itself is the greatest source of protection. Homes where Qur'an is recited regularly are homes filled with angels and tranquility. In particular, Surah Al-Baqarah has a unique power. The Prophet too said that shayateen cannot remain in a house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. Even if it is recited once every few days, the difference is noticeable. Peace returns, arguments decrease, and the feeling of heaviness lifts. Some families play recorded recitation, but the greater blessing comes when it is recited directly by the family members themselves. Children who grow up hearing Qur'an daily develop hearts that are naturally shielded from envy and evil. Another daily practice of protection is maintaining the remembrance of Allah when entering and leaving the home. The Prophet taught us to say Bismillah when entering. He explained that if a person enters their home and mentions the name of Allah, the shaitan says to his companions, "You have no place to stay here tonight and no dinner to eat." But if someone enters without remembering Allah, the shaitan claims in that home. This shows how simple yet powerful the remembrance of Allah can be. Just mentioning His name blocks shayateen and their harmful effects. Similarly, when leaving the house, saying the dua taught by the Prophet, Bismillah tawakkaltu ala Allah wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, ensures that the person is protected, guided, and guarded until they return. Teaching children these practices is one of the greatest gifts parents can give. Children are often more vulnerable to the evil eye because of their innocence and beauty, which attracts admiration and envy. The Prophet himself used to make dua for his grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, seeking Allah's protection from the evil eye and all harm. Parents should recite protective duas over their children, especially before bedtime, and encourage them to recite simple surahs. By doing this, parents instill habits of remembrance that will stay with their children for life. It is also important to remember the protective power of modesty. Many times, families invite the evil eye upon themselves by displaying their blessings too openly. Posting pictures of every meal, every outing, every new purchase, or every achievement exposes those blessings to countless eyes, some of which may be jealous. While gratitude is encouraged, showing off is not. Protecting oneself from envy sometimes means keeping certain blessings private, sharing them only with those who are trustworthy and sincere. Daily protection is not only about recitation, but also about wisdom in how we manage our blessing. Consistency is the key to all these practices. A family may recite Qur'an once or say a dua occasionally, but that is not the same as making it a routine. Protection is like armor. It must be worn every day. If you remove it, you expose yourself to harm. Just as we eat daily to keep our bodies alive, we must engage in remembrance daily to keep our souls protected. Over time, these practices become second nature, and the home itself becomes a place where angels reside and Barakah flows. The beauty of these daily practices is that they require no wealth, no special tools, and no complex ritual. They only require sincerity and consistency. Allah has made them simple so that every believer, no matter their circumstances, can benefit. They are acts of mercy from the most merciful, giving us strength against unseen forces without burdening us. In the end, daily protection practices are about living with constant remembrance of Allah. When a believer makes these adhikar, recites these surahs, and teaches their family to do the same, they are declaring with their actions, "O Allah, I rely on you, I trust in you, and I seek safety only from you." This declaration is more powerful than any envy or evil eye. With it, the family becomes untouchable, because the shield of Allah surrounds them day and night. Practical steps to guard the home are an essential part of protecting the family from the effects of the evil eye. Allah has given us knowledge, guidance, and simple actions that, when practiced consistently, create a shield of light around our homes. Many families face difficulties, arguments, or sudden losses, and they feel helpless, not realizing that there are clear steps within Islam to restore peace and protection. The evil eye is real, but so is the mercy of Allah. When we put into practice what the Prophet taught us, our homes become places where Barakah flows, hearts are united, and negativity is pushed away. The first practical step is to maintain Salah in the home. Salah is the pillar of faith and the greatest connection to Allah. When a family prays together, their home becomes filled with mercy and angels. Neglecting prayer leaves the home spiritually empty, making it vulnerable to harm. A household where prayer is established is a household under Allah's watch. Parents should encourage their children to join in congregational prayers at home, especially Fajr and Maghrib, as these times are when shayateen are most active. A home where Salah is heard regularly is a fortress, because Allah Himself becomes its protector. The second step is to recite Qur'an in the home. The Qur'an is not only for memorization or special occasions, it is meant to be recited daily as nourishment for the soul. In particular, Surah Al-Baqarah carries immense power in driving away shayateen and lifting the effects of the evil eye. Even if a family cannot recite the entire surah in one sitting, they can divide it over a few days. The Prophet promised that shayateen flee from a house where Surah Al-Baqarah is recited. Beyond this, short surahs like Al-Falaq, An-Naas, and Ikhlas recited regularly bring light into the home. Families should choose a time daily, perhaps after Maghrib, to sit together and recite Qur'an aloud. The sound of Allah's words cleanses the atmosphere and strengthens the hearts. A third step is to avoid ostentation and showing off. One of the reasons the evil eye affects families is that they expose their blessings unnecessarily. Social media has made it common for people to share every meal, every purchase, every holiday, and every happy moment. While gratitude is encouraged, excessive display invites envy from those who see. Even relatives and friends can sometimes harbor jealousy. To guard the home, families should be more private about their blessing. Not every achievement or possession needs to be shared publicly. Protecting blessings means enjoying them with gratitude to Allah while being mindful not to provoke unnecessary envy. Another step is to increase gratitude within the home. The evil eye feeds on jealousy, but gratitude strengthens Barakah. When a family regularly thanks Allah for their food, shelter, health, and happiness, those blessings are preserved and increased. Gratitude can be expressed in simple ways, saying Alhamdulillah after meals, acknowledging Allah's favors in conversations, and avoiding constant complaints. A household where gratitude is alive is a household less vulnerable to envy. Parents should instill this attitude in children by reminding them to thank Allah for even the smallest gifts, such as a glass of water or a safe night's sleep. A very practical step is to keep the home clean, not only physically but spiritually. Physical cleanliness brings comfort, while spiritual cleanliness brings protection. Homes filled with haram, such as inappropriate images, music, or movies, invite shayateen. On the other hand, homes filled with Dhikr, Qur'an, and Salah invite angels. To guard the home, families must review what they allow inside. Even something as simple as beginning every action with Bismillah creates an atmosphere of remembrance. When food is prepared with the name of Allah, when doors are opened with His remembrance, and when children are taught to recite du'as and daily tasks, the home becomes spiritually fortified. Guarding the home also requires unity and love within the family. The evil eye thrives in environments of anger and hatred. When family members constantly fight, shout, or neglect each other, the home becomes spiritually weak. By promoting forgiveness, patience, and kindness, families strengthen their walls against envy. Small actions like greeting each other with salam, eating together at least once a day, or making dua together after salah can bring hearts closer. A united family is much harder to harm than a divided one. Another important step is to regularly perform Ruqyah on the home and its members. Ruqyah is simply reciting Qur'an and du'as taught by the Prophet for protection. This can be done by reciting Surah Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, and the last 3 surahs over water and sprinkling it around the house, or by reciting over oneself and family members. It does not require a scholar or a healer. Every Muslim can perform Ruqyah for their own family. This practice removes negative effects and brings tranquility back into the household. Practical steps also include limiting envy by not creating it in the first place. For example, when giving gifts to children, parents should be fair. When praising one child, they should also acknowledge the efforts of others. Within extended families, kindness and humility reduce envy. When we show care and generosity towards others, it softens their hearts and prevents them from feeling bitterness toward our blessings. In this way, families can create a circle of protection that extends beyond their own walls. Finally, guarding the home means never forgetting that Allah is the ultimate protector. All the steps we take, Salah, Qur'an, Dhikr, Ruqyah, gratitude, are means. But the true protection comes from Allah alone. A family that constantly turns to Allah, asks for His protection, and places their trust in Him will always be safeguarded. The evil eye may attempt to harm them, but it will never succeed in breaking their spirit or destroying their peace, because Allah is with them. When these practical steps are implemented, the home transforms. It becomes a place of safety, light, and love. Arguments decrease, peace increases, and blessings remain. The evil eye is real, but so is Allah's mercy. The key is to act upon the guidance we have been given. By living with prayer, Qur'an, remembrance, modesty, gratitude, and unity, every family can guard their home and live under the constant protection of the most merciful. My beloved brothers and sisters, after everything we have discussed, it becomes clear that the evil eye is not something to take lightly. It is real, and its effects can enter our homes in ways that disturb our peace, our health, our wealth, and our unity. But at the same time, we must never forget that Allah is greater than any harm. Nothing can touch us without His permission, and He has given us all the tools we need to protect ourselves and our families. The signs we spoke about are reminders, not reasons to panic. They tell us when to wake up, when to return to Allah, and when to strengthen our shields. The causes we explored remind us to cleanse our hearts from jealousy and to avoid becoming a source of harm to others. The practices and steps we learned, Salah, Qur'an, Adhikar, Ruqyah, gratitude, modesty, and unity, are practical ways to keep our homes filled with light. The evil eye thrives where faith is weak, but it disappears where remembrance of Allah is alive. The more we trust Allah, the more we thank Him for His blessings, and the more we follow the Sunnah of the Prophet, the safer we will be. Protection is not in charms or superstitions. It is in sincere faith, daily remembrance, and placing our reliance fully upon the One who controls all matters. So let us make our homes places of prayer, places of Qur'an, places of love and gratitude. Let us protect our blessings by keeping some matters private and by constantly asking Allah to preserve what He has given us. And let us never allow jealousy to live in our hearts, but instead train ourselves to say MashaAllah Tabarakallah whenever we see something we admire. May Allah protect our homes from envy, protect our families from harm, and fill our lives with Barakah, peace, and His divine protection. Ameen.